I never thought I'd be the one to find a dead body. But there I was, flashlight shaking in my hand, staring at something that would destroy everything I thought I knew about my family. The worst part? I recognized the jacket. It was my father's. Before we continue this story, please take a moment by liking, subscribing. This means a lot to our community. Let me back up. 3 days before I found that body, my dad disappeared. Just vanished. No note. No goodbye. The police said he probably ran off with another woman. My mom cried for 48 hours straight. But I knew better. My dad wouldn't leave us. He couldn't. Every morning he made me pancakes shaped like dinosaurs. Every night he checked under my bed for monsters, even though I was 16 and way too old for that. Something was wrong. And that's when I found his journal, hidden behind a loose brick in our garage. The pages were filled with names, dates, and one word written over and over in red ink. Guilty. 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 The journal led me to Miller's Lake. That abandoned place where teenagers used to party before someone drowned there 10 years ago. The place everyone in town avoided after dark. I should have told someone. Should have called the cops. But the last entry in Dad's journal said, "If you're reading this, trust no one. Especially not the police." So I went alone. The lake was frozen over, covered in a thin layer of November ice. My breath came out in clouds as I followed Dad's map to the northern shore. That's where I saw it. A dark shape beneath the ice. At first, I thought it was just shadows. Maybe a fallen tree. But then my flashlight caught something that made my stomach drop. A hand. Frozen. Reaching upward like it was trying to escape. I ran onto the ice without thinking. Stupid, I know. The ice cracked beneath me like gunshots, but I didn't care. I had to know. I had to see if it was him. I broke through the ice with a rock from the shore. Water sprayed everywhere, freezing on my face instantly. And that's when I saw the jacket. And he was wearing my father's jacket. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped my phone. But then I noticed something clutched in Mr. Peterson's frozen fingers. A photograph. I had to break more ice to reach it. The paper was soaked, barely holding together, but I could still make out the image. It was my mom. From 20 years ago, before I was born. She was standing next to Mr. Peterson, his arm around her waist. Both of them smiling like they were the only two people in the world. I threw up right there on the ice. Everything I knew was a lie. My mom and Mr. Peterson? My dad wearing the face of a man everyone thought was kind and gentle? No. No, this couldn't be real. I stumbled back to shore, the photograph burning in my pocket like evidence of a crime I didn't understand yet. That's when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. But the message made my blood turn colder than the lake water. Stop looking. Some bodies should stay buried. A friend. A friend? I didn't have any friends who knew I was here. I hadn't told anyone. Which meant someone was watching me. Right now. I spun around, flashlight cutting through the darkness. Trees. Shadows. Nothing moving. But then I heard it. Footsteps. Crunching through snow. Getting closer. I ran. Branches tore at my jacket as I crashed through the woods. My lungs screamed. My legs burned. But I didn't stop because those footsteps behind me didn't stop either. Whoever it was, they were faster than me. I could hear them gaining ground. Heavy breathing. The snap of twigs breaking under their weight. I burst out of the trees and onto the old highway. A car's headlights blinded me, tires screeching as it swerved. The horn blared. But it saved me. Because when I looked back, whoever was chasing me had vanished into the trees like smoke. The driver rolled down his window. Old guy, maybe 70, looking concerned. "You okay, kid?" You look like you've seen a ghost. I'm fine, I lied. Just lost. Chief Dawson from the police station stood in our living room, still in his uniform. They were arguing. I couldn't hear the words, but I could see Mom's face. She wasn't crying anymore. She was angry. No, she was scared. Chief Dawson grabbed her arm. Not rough, but firm. Insistent. Mom pulled away and pointed at the door, telling him to leave. But before he left, he said something that made my mom's face go completely white. She actually stumbled backward, catching herself on the couch. The chief walked out the front door. I ducked behind our car, holding my breath as he passed within 5 feet of me. He was muttering to himself. I only caught 3 words. Should have stayed dead. My phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. Your father isn't the man you think he is. Neither is your mother. Come to the old paper mill at midnight. Alone. I'll tell you everything. Someone who loved him too. Someone who loved him too? I sat in my room for 3 hours, staring at that message. Part of me wanted to delete it. Pretend I never found that body. Go back to eating dinosaur pancakes and believing my parents were normal people who loved each other. But I couldn't. Because my dad was out there somewhere. And the journal, the body, the photograph, Mom's fear, the chief's threat, it all connected somehow. At 11:30, I climbed out my bedroom window. The paper mill sat on the edge of town like a rotting tooth. Been abandoned since before I was born. Parents told their kids it was haunted. Maybe it was. I approached from the east side, using my phone's flashlight. The door hung off its hinges. Inside smelled like mold and rust and secrets that should have stayed buried. Hello? My voice echoed. Turn off the light. I nearly jumped out of my skin. The voice came from deeper in the building. Female. Older. Familiar somehow. I turned off my flashlight. Footsteps approached in the darkness. Then a match struck, illuminating a face I recognized immediately. Mrs. Chen. My English teacher. But she looked different. Harder. Like she'd aged 10 years in the 3 days since I'd seen her in class. Your father, she said, voice shaking, was the bravest man I ever knew. What are you talking about? Where is he? She lit a candle. In the flickering light, I could see tears running down her face. 20 years ago, there was a crime in this town. A terrible crime. A young woman was found murdered near the lake. The police blamed a drifter passing through. Case closed. I don't understand what this has to. Your mother was that young woman's best friend, Mrs. Chen interrupted. And Mr. Peterson was her boyfriend. My stomach twisted. But the drifter didn't kill that girl. Chief Dawson did. He was young then, just a deputy, but he had a temper. The girl rejected him. He couldn't handle it. That's insane. Why would my dad? Because your father witnessed it. He was 17, fishing at the lake that night. He saw everything. But Dawson threatened him. Said he'd kill his whole family if he ever talked. The candle flickered. Shadows danced on the walls like ghosts. Your dad kept that secret for 20 years. Let it eat him alive. Until 6 months ago, when Mr. Peterson started investigating the case on his own. He never stopped loving that murdered girl. Never stopped wanting justice. So Dad killed him? My dad's a murderer? No. Mrs. Chen grabbed my shoulders. Your father tried to help him. They were going to expose Dawson together. But Dawson found out. Where's my dad? I was crying now. Just tell me where he is. I don't know. But 3 days ago, he told me if anything happened to him, I should tell you everything. He said you were brave enough to handle the truth. A sound behind us. We both froze. Footsteps. Multiple sets. You should have listened to my warning, a voice called out. Chief Dawson stepped into the candlelight. But he wasn't alone. 2 other officers flanked him. I recognized them from town. From parades and school events and normal life. They all had guns. You've always been too curious for your own good, Dawson said to me. Just like your father. Mrs. Chen stepped in front of me. They're just kids. Leave them out of this. Can't do that. Not anymore. Dawson raised his gun. And that's when the entire mill exploded with light. FBI agents poured in from every entrance, weapons drawn, shouting commands. Dawson and his officers hit the ground, hands behind their heads. Standing in the doorway, backlit like some kind of guardian angel, was my father. Alive. He ran to me, wrapped me in his arms so tight I could barely breathe. He smelled like coffee and Old Spice and home. I'm so sorry, he whispered into my hair. I'm so sorry. Turns out, Dad had been working with the FBI for 6 months. Wearing a wire. Gathering evidence. He'd faked his own disappearance to draw Dawson out, to make him panic and reveal himself. The body in the lake? That was the final piece. Dad knew exactly where Peterson was buried. Knew I'd find his journal. Knew I was brave enough and stupid enough to investigate. He'd been watching me the whole time. Protecting me. You used me as bait? I should have been angry. But mostly I was just relieved. I used myself as bait, he corrected. You were never supposed to be involved. But when you found that journal, he smiled sadly. You're too much like me. They led Chief Dawson away in handcuffs. The man who'd worn a badge for 30 years. The man everyone trusted. The man who'd let an innocent person die for his crime. As we walked out of that mill, Dad's arm around my shoulders, I realized something. Heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear navy blue jackets with torn sleeves. Sometimes they make dinosaur pancakes and check for monsters. And sometimes, they're willing to risk everything to make sure old sins finally face the light. My name's Alex. And this is the story of how finding a body saved my family. But there's one thing I never told anyone. Not even my dad. That photograph I found in Peterson's hand? On the back, written in faded ink, was a message. To my daughter. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. R.P. My mom's middle name is Rachel. And her birthday is exactly 9 months after that photo was taken. Some secrets are meant to stay buried. Others are just waiting for the right person to dig them up.